Hello there, traveler. Welcome to the castle, or, I guess more accurately, temple, by Poneng-Samalya. I'd like to share my thoughts about a book I've read, if you're willing to indulge a dragon. Thank you, traveler. Let's begin. HeartTheft is a novel written by Rookies and published by For Planet Productions. HeartTheft is the first book I've read by Rookies, and I was so thoroughly engrossed in it that I've already ordered 2 more of her novels from the strong impression this one gave to me. Important to note that the version of this I'm reading is the hardcover, which is actually 2 books in one. I knew I was going to like this book just from the premise. A religious Templar has to track down a thief and inadvertently falls in love with said thief during the investigation. Isidore may very well be one of my favorite furry characters, particularly because Rookies has found a way to portray that swirling tempest of self-loathing and constant questioning that comes prepackaged with a religious upbringing so well in him. Isidore with his strange urges that he just needs to prey on. Isidore with his wellspring of righteous anger that never seems to be directed in the correct way. Isidore who thinks so much that he starts to question what he's been brought up with all his life. Isidore who can't help but love so deeply he causes himself and his family great pain. To say that I saw a lot of myself when I was younger in him would be the understatement of the year. I'd had these thoughts, and I'd had to grapple with the same doubts, which made the book all the more engaging. Darcy was no slouch either, delivering razor-sharp lines of dialogue and having a backstory that was a simultaneous joy and nightmare to uncover. The greatest mystery of the book becomes figuring out who Darcy is and what that will mean to Isidore when he finds out. The romance between Isidore and Darcy is handled well, with each of them having time to come to terms with their feelings for each other. There's a good balance of sweet moments and moments of passion throughout. The tender moments where everything has slowed down just briefly for them both to work through their feelings are some of my favorite moments from the book. The confrontation in the inn and the week in the cabin were both highlights in that regard. I usually mention this if the book provides them, so I'll say that I love the illustrations that were provided throughout the book. They're used to great effect in the story, and I always have a special place in my heart for authors that include them. I could write an entire separate review just on the character of Malachi alone, and how his journey could very well have been Isidore's if he was unlucky enough. Him and Cillian were both complex characters that made me feel the weight of their lived experiences each time they showed up on the page. I do think that Darcy's character takes a bit of a back seat in the latter half of the book, and I was a bit disappointed in that. I know that there are circumstances that led to this outcome, and while I think everything that happens makes sense, I still think that Darcy could have been more outspoken in some of the scenes. It felt at times like Darcy was getting pulled along by the current of Isidore's story, even though I'm pretty sure that wasn't the intention. In addition, there are a lot of things that happened with Isidore's brother and sister that just kind of worked themselves out. I'm not going to complain too hard about conveniences that helped the book reach a happier ending, though. I could also see a reader being turned off by the frequency and length of Isidore's discussions with himself. Isidore thinks a lot about everything, and this is portrayed within the book, with long stretches of him working things out in his head. I think this works well in showing how deeply ingrained the religious teachings are in his thought patterns, but I can see a reader getting annoyed with it, which is why I wanted to mention it. If you have religious trauma, I would say to read with caution, but also encourage you to check the book out, as I think it has the capacity to be healing as well. Wherever you're at in that journey, it's good to see someone from another time dealing with the same issues that you may be grappling with. I would say if you're interested to check out the first book, HeartTheft Covenant, and determine if you want to finish out the rest of the story. While I had a great experience, 800 pages is a hard sell to a new reader right out the gate, so I would suggest dipping your paw in as opposed to my cannonball method. Eagerly looking forward to checking out Rookie's backlog of novels after this one. Until next time, curl up with a good book and be kind to yourself.